This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by British heavyweight champion Fabio Wardley over Zoom. Fabio, straight into it, no pleasantries, unfortunately. I don't really know where to start. Obviously, everybody was looking forward to the purse bids today for you to defend your British title against Frazer Clarke. And then we saw Eddie Hearn tweet out that Boxer had pulled Frazer from those said purse bids. What was your immediate reaction when you saw that?
Before that, I think when you announced me, I think you should have said "and still." I'm counting this as a win. This is a W on the board. I won.
Are you
It was a
reaching out
no.
to BoxRec to get it added to your record
Yeah,
then?
I'm getting it added on. I'm 17-0. I've won defense. I'm going to tell the board as well. I've made one title defense already. Nah, mate. Look, today's been nothing but a mess. Nothing but a pure mess, mate. It's been a shit show. It's been all over the place. Not like Boxer, Sky, 258, Fraser, they're all just lost in the mud. They don't. They're all running around headless. No one knows. No one knows what they're doing. No one's on the same page. No one knows what they want to do. One person wants to go left. One person wants to go right. No one knows. No one. Also, no one knows who's in charge. Who makes the real rules here? Because I heard that 258 were the ones that first off lobbied the board for to mandate the fight, but they did that without Boxer and Sky's knowledge. So that's weird to not include the whole team in a large decision like that. Okay, great. Then I hear that Fraser's having meetings about the fight and trying to do it different ways, maybe doing it privately aside from purse bids, but without 258 present. So then that's weird as well, because why would you not want your management team there to help you make decisions and things? It just seems like everyone's left, right, all over the place. No one knows. No one at all from their whole team, from top to bottom, is on the same page. No one knows what they want.
Fabio, there's obviously quite a bit to try and dissect from this. Obviously, we saw Eddie put the tweet out. Did you have any prior knowledge to Eddie tweeting that it would not be going ahead?
Very briefly, I did add a little bit of knowledge. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Eds is going to give me the heads up on things like that. It's quite big news. He's not going to leave me in the dark and let me find out on a tweet. I did have a little bit of prior knowledge, but yeah, I knew it was coming out.
It's just such a strange scenario because whenever I've spoken to Frazer, he's been adamant. He said vocally on numerous interviews, not just for myself, with other outlets as well. This is the fight he wants next. He said that he'd be happy to fight you next. I know he has the Harry-Armstrong fight, which has also been announced now, but he said that he would go on to fight you next without needing that fight. To your knowledge, did Frazer did he want the fight personally?
Personally, it's a double-sided coin because I do personally believe that Fraser was happy to fight me, wanted the fight, would have fought me. I do genuinely believe that, hand on heart. I know I do believe he's a good fighting person and does want that. But I do also am well aware that in terms of these situations, the only person who can deny you is yourself, is a boxer. Your promotional company can't tell you you can't do a mandated fight unless he's got some special secret magic clause in his contract with either 258 or Boxer or something like that going on. They can't tell him not to take the fight. The same way Ed would not be able to tell me to not take a mandated fight. If he didn't want to bid for it, or if he didn't want to be involved in it, fair enough. Me as an individual, me as a boxer, it all rests on me. So the yes or no to do we go forward with this or do we not does unfortunately lie on Fraser. So there's some confusion along there. I have mixed emotions on it because, like I said, I do believe he did want the fight, but also I know for a fact that it's either yes or no from the boxer. No one else can get involved. No one else can tell you what to do. We're not in the 1980s anymore where you get kicked around by your promoter manager and they tell you do this, that, then, and the other. We're in a fortunate circumstance now where boxers are in charge and we get to run ourselves. And I know Fraser's in the same. He's a smart older guy. He's going to know his stuff. He's not going to have. I doubt he would have tied himself into a shitty enough contract that would have given control of yes or no fights to your promotional company. So ultimately, he said no to the fight. Whether it's at the last minute, whether it's later, whether 258, whether Boxer, whether Sky, I don't know, whoever. Someone might have got in his head and said, "Look, it's not the right time for you. You're not ready for it. You don't need this now. We can do something better for you later down the line." One thing and the other. They might have done 100 things. Who knows? But for a certified fact, the buck unfortunately lands on Frazer Clarke's lap, whether it's the yes or the no, and he picked no.
Fabio, we was speaking yesterday on the phone, and as we was talking, obviously we saw the news come out about Frazer set up to face a certain Harry Armstrong in June. When that news came out, did you think that was kind of the beginning of somewhat these types of issues that we've seen today, or did you think that no, because they tried to negotiate a deal with you whereby Frazer could have at least one more fight rather before fighting yourself, that it was just kind of the path they was going down and still intended to pursue the fight with you?
Half and half, because we accepted that as well. We said, okay, you can have that. If you need that one, we said, you have an interim, we'll have an interim, and then we'll do it later. So I did kind of see it and think, because we hadn't actually had a real conversation to agree that. So it was slightly premature to see that. It was a verbal thing, like, okay, if you want to do that, that's fine, but we're going to do the same, and then we'll meet you later down the line whenever you think you're ready. But for then that to come out a lot earlier than us actually kind of not hashing out the details, but having a real detailed conversation about what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, it was kind of the beginning of the end for me.
Obviously, we know the purse bids never achieved anything, and we also know an offer that Team Boxer and Shalom had made to you never achieved nothing either. It came out, I think it was yesterday when it was suggested it would have been a career high payday for you. Can you just give me a little bit more information around that offer, which was presented prior to the purse bids, which never happened today?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. They came to with an offer. The offer it was a multi-fight deal. That was the offer, and the first fight on that offer was less than I got paid for my last fight. So, and it wasn't against Frazer Clarke either. It's limited in what I can say and how many details I can go into, but so what that initial statement was clickbait. It was a lie. It was you trying to crawl back and try and claim back some I don't know, just try and look a bit more credible against saying, oh, we offered Fabio a career high payday, when actually it was back ended and it was to fight Frazer Clarke in about 2 or 3 fights all the way at the end. Now, I don't need you for that. I can do that on my own. I'm already earning more money now than you've initially just offered me. So if you think in 3 fights that I won't be earning more than you've offered me already, then you've lost the plot. And also, try and not wanting. There's 2 sides to this. First off, if you do have this large pot of money that you offered me, fair enough. Take that pot, bring it to the purse bids, use it there. And then secondly, what that leads to is you trying to mess over your own fighter. Because if you're trying to make a deal with me on the side and you don't want it to go to purse bids, what that means is you're not trying to overpay, or you see it as overpaying your fighter who's on 6 or 7 fights. I don't know how many Frazer's had at the moment, but he's on 6 or 7 fights. He's probably not. He's probably on quite a bit of money for someone who's on 6 or 7 fights. I don't know his numbers. I don't claim to. But what that would say as well is that you're trying to do over your fighter a bit by not letting him get his 40% of what would be a very large purse bid. So if I'm Frazer, I'm looking at you with a strong side eye and going, hang on here, so you're trying to make secret little deals behind my back as well as not taking that money that you offered and taking it to the purse bid and letting me have a chunk of it.
Fabio, we know that obviously we've mentioned the talks behind the scenes to try and come to some sort of deal away from the purse bids. Don't know how far they may have stretched, but were there any issues on the other side of, I know Boxer and Sky have obviously heavily invested in Frazer. They see him as being their future star of the heavyweights, as it were. Were there any issues in terms of like them maybe thinking maybe we want it to be Clarke Wardley or Clarke to walk second and what have you. I think within boxing, you'd do well to find somebody who would say it shouldn't be you for it shouldn't be Wardley-Clarke or you to walk second and what have you. But were there any issues like that?
No, there was no issue. It didn't go that far. It didn't even go that far. It literally came to an initial number. It started with a number, and I went, no, that's way too low. And then we stopped there. That was it. It was barely it wasn't a conversation I had. Obviously, it's not something I deal with personally. It's on behalf of my team and everyone. But it literally stopped at a number, and it was presented to me. I said, no, that's way low. I'd much rather go to purse bids because I know going to purse bids is going to be way more. Why would I sell myself short for? And also, why would I want to tie myself in with a long-term contract with you guys for? When I've just watched how you've operated for the past month or so, you're in a shambles with your prized heavyweight fighter, who you say is the next in line, your top dog, your big guy, and you've pulled him left, right, and all over the place, made him look stupid by not being on the same page as him, by him saying, "Yup, I'm ready, I want the fight," and then you as his promoter then coming out and saying, "Oh, no, we don't know just yet. We might do something else with him. We might wait 2 or 3 fights down the line, you know." And Fraser's out here going, "Hang on, I'll do the fight now." Like, what interest of a multi-fight deal for me would that be? That does absolutely nothing for me. So it was only ever going to be a single if I ever was going to do it. And the initial number was so low that it didn't get past that. I said no to it straight away and carried on with my
We
day.
obviously never got to see how the purse bids played out, obviously. But to your knowledge, how hard was Eddie Hearn and Matchroom willing to go for this fight?
Very, very. They were willing to dig deep and double down. They really were. Because me, Ed, the team, Matchroom, everyone, we have a great relationship. We got on really well. We had a meeting a few weeks ago before I went away, and he was really positive, really happy. He was really excited about the fight, and he was really excited about the fight, not just for the fight, but being able to present this fight to DAZN as well, and going, "Hey, look at this fight we're gonna have. This is gonna be massive." Like a random come out of nowhere white collar guy versus a bronze medalist, British title, two massive heavyweights. Great fight to sell. And Ed's the top salesman, so he'll sell the life out of it. But he was buzzing to present that to DAZN as well and bring that to him. But again, all went a bit south.
Fabio, I know that you probably feel like these past 2, 3, 4 months or so of your career have been a bit of a waste now, as I'm sure to some degree Frazer may as well. But for you now, like, how do you reflect on this period and how do you go about trying to move forwards? And I imagine trying to get a date as quickly as possible just so you can get back out and back active.
Yeah, I think we get through today first. We get through today and we figure out the rest later. I've got a lot. My phone is on fire. There's a lot of messages. There's a lot of calls. A lot of requests. I'll put you quite close to the top of the queue, so you're welcome. But I'll deal with today first. We'll figure out the rest later. I'm not worried about all that right now because if I call Ed now and I say I want to fight in a month or two, he'll set one up. It's not a problem. I can get it done. It's just about the right fight, the right time, and us looking at the landscape and the plan and the route we want to go down. So that takes some time. So that's something we're going to do. But right now we focus on today and probably what will carry over to tomorrow for a bit.
What I'm interested to know, Fabio, is I remember interviewing you last year when the fight still first got kind of mentioned, even though it was very not delicate, but very lowly thought of, shall we say. And people were questioning maybe if you'd cross paths, because for you were saying you imagine maybe one, maybe two defenses and you wanted to quickly move on. Now that it hasn't happened, the purse bids haven't come to fruition, looking at how you maybe want your career to progress, do you think that it's very unlikely we see, certainly at least at British level, yourself and Frazer Clarke share the ring?
I think this whole situation has really decreased the chances of it. Yeah. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it's seriously decreased the chances of it. Obviously, us as a team, we're going to be hesitant to work with them now as well. In a situation, if maybe it's mandated, it goes to purse bids and whatever, we're going to be a bit like, hang on, we're not doing this again. We're not getting round robined. So it's going to have to be on our terms now, and they're going to have to come to us, not hat in hand, but come to us and say, right, we want the fight, and us as Matchroom or DAZN, however, we get to dictate the terms and say yes or no. This is how it's going to work, and if you want it, you can have it. If you don't, then fine, no worries. But I'm not playing. We're not playing your silly games anymore. We're not wasting months of preparation putting things together. Like I know the people from Matchroom that, because you have to, for the purse bids, you have to hand deliver the check of the worthier amount. The people from Matchroom were on a train at 5:30 this morning, ready to go deliver that, and then they get a message 2 hours later to say, "Oh, the purse bids are off." Like what? How do you operate like that? That's ridiculous. You're the amount of time and money you're wasting on people from boxer and Ben Shalom side is a joke. It's an outrageous thing to do. You would have known before you put your head on your pillow last night. You'd have known that you was not going to go to these purse bids. So just bring it out now. Why wait until an hour before, 2 hours before, whatever, however long it was? That doesn't make any sense to me. It never will.
Fabio, just final thing on it all before I let you go. Obviously, this was being talked about as a great British title fight. It had everybody excited, as it did yourself and Frazer, with all the back and forths. Looking at what else could be out there, you obviously had a certain David Adeleye turn up to your most recent press conference on the Anthony Joshua fight week, on that bill you fought on against Michael Kofi. Any interest in maybe revisiting that? I'm sure it would still garner some form of interest.
That fight will definitely gain interest, and it's definitely one of interest. 1000%. It's definitely fight I'd do and take. I think he's just booked a fight, or he's got something going on, or I don't know, something or other. But it depends on what the board do. Maybe they mandate him, maybe they don't. Maybe they give me a voluntary. Who knows? So we kind of have to sit and wait for a little bit, see how things pan out. Can't make any plans until we kind of know what everyone else around me is doing, and then we'll move from there. But it's definitely on the cards, and definitely something I want to do.
All right, Fabio, we will leave that there now. Leave to obviously try to enjoy the rest of your day. I imagine your phone's just going to continue to go off, and it probably has been since we've been doing this interview. So I appreciate you hopping on to do it. And yeah, I will speak to you again soon. Thanks for speaking to me and Boxing News.
No worries. Cheers, boy. Thank you.